Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, y'all. How you doing?
What's going on in the kitchen up there in Oregon?
Well, I ended up with 2 calls from 2 different clients. One of them that I thought it was somebody different. And so I'm having to take care of that and getting them on my calendar. And I'm like, I have to get to my next appointment, which was get to the condo so I could start cooking for this. And then as I'm getting here, I get another call, got her on the calendar. But that took away a good 15 minutes of my time, just delayed me a bit. So it's sizzling over here. And so forgive my sizzling. Oh, what a process. It's sometimes, we do a lot of work, y'all, on these podcasts. And sometimes it's just, time takes over.
Sometimes it takes time. We don't have time. So yeah, time that I don't have. Yeah. So yeah, I had 3 meetings, extra meetings I had to come in because a new sales company people coming in today, and then to top it off, last Thursday, I went Saturday I went under contract on a new apartment building.
Nice.
So it's been a busy week around this house, and then we went away this weekend, and we had this whole idea where we go to Fort Worth for the theater over there. It's Casa Manana Theater, but they have this little cabaret. They do night things, and they did a Saturday night light thing with the music of Linda Ronstadt, which is a really, really good thing.
Oh, nice.
And we woke up on Sunday morning to, oh crap, they're doing the Cowtown Marathon. As they're running the marathon underneath the hotel, we're like, I hope we can get out of here. I had to take all kinds of zigzag streets to get out, and yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I hate it when that happens, but you got out. It only took you 15 minutes longer.
Yeah. So anyway, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do a little bit of decadence. I don't know. How do you say the word? I don't even know how you say the word.
Decadence?
Decadence. You say it because I say it bad. Anyway. The idea of a day of decadence has been brought to you, ladies and gentlemen, by every 4 years, there is an additional day in the month of February.
And there is. Now, do we know why?
I don't know. They said something about they have to have it on years that they do elections or something like that.
You're such a dork. So...
Oh no! Wait a minute! No! It's on the years they do the Olympics.
You're such a dork. So there is a reason for this craziness. There truly is. So to be very simple, it's leap years are important because they help the calendar match up with the seasons every year. So our human-made calendars, they generally have 365 days. The solar or tropical year that influences seasons is about 365.2422 days long. So a solar year is how long it takes the Earth to go around the sun. Now, even though that 0.2422 does not seem like much, it actually means that if we ignore it, that eventually our seasons won't fall in the same months every year. So that's the reason why. So that in the 16th century, the Gregorian calendar, which is the most commonly used, started adding the leap days to match the calendar seasons. And so they figured that they'd add it to February 29th. So that's how it's, because most years they're divisible by 4, like 2020. So it is an intercalendary year or bisextile. I probably butchered that. Which means it adds 1 more day. So
the next thing you're going to tell me is they have to do this thing where they change the clocks back and forth.
No, that has nothing to do with that.
Oh no, that's 2 weeks from now. That's not this week. That's 2 weeks away.
Right. So the crazy thing is that I know I'm still checking out food over here, so I don't want it to burn because it is fish. But there was, oh my goodness, early Roman practice. They're the ones the early Romans had a lunisolar one that consisted of 12 months for a total of 355 days. Then they added the 27th and 28th which made it a little convoluted. So there was that, but there was also, oh my goodness, there was a crazy day. Let me try to remember. The Year of Confusion. That's what it was. Year of Confusion.
That was 2020.
There's that. That is not wrong.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am the comedy half of the show. The knowledge half is her.
So let me move this out of the way to get that to rest for a second now. Okay, so it was in the 3rd century BC where they started getting the hang of the calendars. And at the time, the Egyptians were observing a 365 calendar year that included a leap year. But other calendar systems weren't always working. And so to fix this, Roman Emperor Julius Caesar, he created the Year of Confusion, where he decided that the year 46 BC was going to be 445 days long instead of 365. He then made 365.25 a day year. So it was a tiny bit longer than that 0.2422 solar that added a leap year every 4 years. So even though it wasn't quite right, the difference still between the 365.25 and the 365.2422 was still 11 minutes shorter than the seasonal calendar. So that would mean that every 128 years, the calendars would be a day short. So I found that quite interesting that they've made a mess of this, but leap year has been around for a very, very long time. So it is nothing new. Now, there is some folklore around it, but let me get my food and then we'll get into the folklore.
Yeah, because this is like all kinds of confusing to me. Like, I just like to have a day here and a day there. And I wake up on Monday and go to sleep on Tuesday. And it's like, I don't count these days.
What's the
count these days? If you're in the comments down, do you count these days?
So Sean wanted to do something on Thursday because he said the day doesn't really exist. It was never there. So therefore we need to do something fun. And I said, could we do it on Friday? I'm full of appointments on Thursday.
It's the last day of the month.
Yeah. The last day of the month is just craziness. So I'm like, yeah, I can't do this on Thursday. I have like multiple things going on, this, that, and the other. So no, we're not going to take the day off.
Anyway,
so talk about those born on the 29th. So tell me about what happens with those that are born.
If you're born on the 29th, you basically celebrate your birthday on the 28th or the 1st, whichever you choose, right?
Right.
Yeah. I have a friend. I do have a friend or two. I actually think I have more than one that is actually born on the 29th of February.
Okay.
And we celebrate his birthday every 4 years. And it's a really cool concept to celebrate the birthday every 4 years. And I recently read that there was a lady who turned after 100 years, finally got her 25th birthday.
Right. I did hear about that one actually.
Yep,
yes.
Yep.
Yes. So hey, she was and I think they bought her like an alcoholic drink or something. It was
you're finally able to drink now. Yeah. Could you imagine that? All right. You've been on the circus, been around a lot of times, but you can't get a drink because you're not 21 yet.
Right. And so some people said, that's, it's absurd. But you know what? I had a friend in elementary school that was born on the 29th. So I'm only, however old he was, like 3 years old at the time, or it was just the funniest thing.
Could you imagine the hospitals closing the door for the day? I'm sorry, you're not allowed to be born today.
Right.
This day only happens once every 4 years, so we can't have no births today, right?
Right.
All the things that can happen on this day, and this is the route we go, right?
Right.
But crazy routes is why we do our show, right?
Yes. So
why?
There are it's but there's a lot of folklore around leap year, some of which I had no idea.
So do tell.
So in Ireland and Britain, it is tradition that women may propose marriage only in leap years. While it has claimed that that tradition started with St. Paddy and the Brigade of Kildare in the 5th century, But I thought that was kind of funny. But it was a test before the 19th century. So in 1288, the law of Queen Margaret of Scotland, then age 5 and living in Norway, required that fines be levied if a marriage proposal was refused by the man, and needed to compensate to be a
Yeah, I
pair
know a
of
lot of men that have to compensate. Let's not get into that.
but they needed to compensate the woman that proposed with a pair of leather gloves, a single rose, and a kiss. And so that I thought was kind of cute, So there's some traditions there, and then there was also a play from the turn of the century. The Matus Metamorphosis said that it's a leap year women wear breeches. And a few hundred years later, of course, bridges wouldn't do at all. So women took to the advantage of their opportunity to pitch or woo, were expected to wear a scarlet petticoat. And then in Finland, the tradition is that if a man refuses a woman's proposal on leap year, then he should buy her a fabric for a skirt. So then there in France since 1980, a satirical newspaper titled Le Bourgeois du Sapeur is published only on leap years on February 29th. So that's kind of fun. And then, of course, in Greece, that if you get married on a leap year, it's unlucky. And so there's couples do plan to not get married on a leap year. And then in February 1988, the town of Anthony, Texas, declared itself leap year capital of the world, and an international leaping birthday club was started. So this is some of the folklore that has been going on.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of fun. It's like, oh, you gotta pay back or make compensation with leather gloves. I'm like, that's pretty specific. So I thought that was cute and funny and
I'm not compensating for anything on you, woman. I'm just saying, woman, I'm not compensating. I might make an extra drink for you. That's the only way I'm going to compensate. So. But why did we wait? But why did we come up with the idea of leap year and call our podcast the Decadence podcast?
Well, because this is when
how did that connect? Yeah, we need to explain how that connected.
Well, because this doesn't happen every year. So if you're doing something every 4 years, you got to make it special. Why would you not make it special? So that's why we wanted to make it extra special. And that was, at least that was my main thought, is to make it extra special, because we're not constantly we're doing something different, something we're not always going to be doing. So fish is one thing. That's why I went with fish, y'all. I decided fish because it's something that I do cook, but not halibut. And not halibut that was freshly caught and brought back from Alaska. So that's why I went that direction. Here in the Pacific Northwest, it's all about salmon. I can get salmon just about any time I want. So, and because it's a leap year. So, speaking of leap year, because it's a little froggy, because you're leaping, Sean, I asked him to make me a little frog that leaps.
Cool. Well, because you were doing Decadence, I figured I'd do the mash Decadence drink. A martini with a vodka.
Ooh. So hoppity hop, y'all. Enjoy your leap year. Sean has been known to make these little frogs since, for the nieces and nephews since they were little. So I asked him to make me a frog. During a baby shower, I put the froggy on the diaper cake, and the first thing that his niece noticed was the darn frog. So I had to take advantage of that. Okay, so you made.
So I made a martini to drink. All right, there's actually a leap year drink. Unfortunately, I didn't have all the ingredients in my house to make it. Probably if I'd have done my shopping on Saturday, but I wasn't here.
I had everything. However, the smart one here, I made sure that I brought this sweet vermouth back from the office. Mm-hmm. But what I did not,
which we used a couple weeks ago, if you remember, yeah.
Yep. But what I did not grab was the Grand Marnier. So I'll be using a citrus passion from Portland Spirits instead. Hey there, Robert. We had
Robert, thanks for joining in.
So it's usually with Grand Marnier. You can substitute it with brandy and cognac, are the two top ones to substitute. You can also do Cointreau or orange curacao. So those are kind of the main ones that you can substitute with. You can also, not as effective, but orange juice or orange concentrate. You can do orange bitters. So there's various ways that you can kind of make up for it. There was one that I was reading that bourbon with a little bit of orange juice, but that's more for recipes than for cocktails, because the bourbon will get that sweetness and richness, but it's lacking a little bit of that citrus. So that's where
that's drinks. All right, I just went with the martini. Why? Because I didn't have everything to make it. And let's face it, I think a martini is decadent drink enough for me. So.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
But we did go a little bit overboard on some foods.
Yes.
Which, of course, our foods are still a little warm here, but number one decadent food when we did a research was this here, right here, macaroni and cheese.
Nice.
All right. Number two decadent food, Tim, this was the recipe I tried to do for the day. It's been in the slow cooker all day. And then I put them in the oven to broil them tonight. Chinese spare ribs, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, beautiful. I had seen a recipe.
And you will watch me get my hands and fingers all messy to eat them here in a bit.
Yum, yum, yum,
But
yum.
I didn't stop there. What's the one thing that everybody has to have that is decadent? Something
chocolate. Chocolate.
Something chocolate. So I made me some chocolate pudding, baby.
Oh, nice. I do have chocolate pudding, but Sean gave me this, so I figured I would bring it. I needed to have some chocolate because chocolate's always decadent. So this one is bunny. So it's a bunny, sea salt caramel dark chocolate. So I had to have this. So this is like, I'm saving up for the podcast. And the other thing that I grabbed, which is a port. I don't know if I'm going to open it or not, but that's very decadent. It's very rich. So that's what I have. And then the other thing that I did, so of course I did a quinoa with its multiple color quinoa, then a halibut. This one did come from Alaska. Renee, the massage therapist at my office, one of her clients gave her this gorgeous piece. I cut the piece in less than half. So this is a huge piece. And then I did it with this lemon butter caper garlic sauce on top.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring, you know what, that's pretty decadent in my opinion. And then I'm going to be making this cocktail. So the cocktail is it's nothing.
All the bone, baby.
Gin, Grand Marnier, sweet vermouth, lemon juice, and then a lemon twist, which I did not cut my lemon twist off for decoration. So let me see if I can get this lemon because I already cut my. So it's not going to be quite a twist. So I got it. It's fine. So essentially everything goes into the shaker, shake, and put it in here. So it does call for 4 ounces of gin. There was one that called for 2 different types of gin. You could just do one. So I do have the Lady Gin, which I'm debating if I want to open it or not. But for now, I'm just going to do Botanist because that is one that I do like. So I almost decided to mix it. And I said, no, I'll just do the one. We don't need to get crazy here. Although utilizing that other gin would be decadent. Can't complain about that. We're going to do 1 ounce we don't have the Grand Marnier, so I'm going to do 1 ounce of this one. I might do half an ounce because this is strong stuff. It's very concentrated. Oh, that's yummy. That's very yummy. You know what? I'm just going to go all out and I'll do the full ounce.
Add it like medicine.
And I'm making a mess. Good thing I'm doing it here and not at the office. This one's kind of sticky.
I know. A lot of my stuff tonight is sticky, and that's the thing with a decadence meal. I learned this morning as I was getting dressed not to wear white shirt on Monday because white shirt gets dirty on the podcast.
right? And 1 ounce of lemon juice. And this is one thing with certain things you have to just and this is, I did exactly. Oh, wow.
Accurate, aren't you?
Very much so. All right. I'm gonna put me on mute because I'm gonna be loud. So
Yeah. While she was talking earlier, I mixed my drink. So I made my loud when she was making her food with my microphone on silent. You just didn't see me shake it over my head. I don't have to shake my body and like she does. She just wants to show off her body and shake it.
that's what it is. Yeah. So it's 30 seconds, y'all. And then you just pour it into, you can use almost any kind of glass that you want. I'm using this particular one is from Casa Noble, which is tequila, but it's a pretty glass. So I thought, you know what, instead of my regular whiskey glass, I'm not going to do that. And then I left the martini glass at the office, so I didn't have that. So instead, I got this prettiness right here.
Look at that. Lemon wedge for
or a lemon twist.
Lemon twist for a for is part of it for.
There it is. There's my lemon twist. And I'm going to get a picture because this is kind of fun. I'm going to move my little froggy over here because you got to have the frog in the picture because this is a leap year.
Leave it up.
Oh, I didn't want that to come out into the, oh, well, it's, you know what? Maybe I'll do this. I'll bring it down.
I'll take a drink waiting for you.
No, that'll be good because I can have you having the drink in the back.
There's less in the cup now. Well, I'm waiting too long. I got to take another sip.
Oh, darn. I know. That's such a,
Life is rough.
I know, right?
I don't like the way you drink podcast. Just got to keep drinking.
Yeah, sometimes. Ooh, I love that. Oh, let me get that right here. And hold it up, because that's a like it. I like that. I like that one. That one's going to be a fun one. Yeah, I'll get all the stuff here. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I took my pictures. So now it's to taste this gorgeousness because I had not tasted it. Oh, wow. So if you aren't, depending on the gin that you're using, it might be a little bit more a juniper-y. This one, because it's not juniper forward, it went pretty well. So I'm going to see how it goes with my lemon halibut here.
Yeah. So this is how I know I did. You guys know, many of you guys know I'd like to do ribs. All right. And smoke them. I didn't. I did ribs in the slow cooker today, which, believe it or not, I love to do because ribs in a slow cooker, it's like you're vacuumed in a seal. It's not a hot pot or it's not a vacuum seal pot. It's just a regular slow cooker. But when you do Chinese the Chinese ribs that way, you put them in there with all the sauce coated onto it. Even the bone's red when you pull the meat off it. That's how soaked in that sauce gets. And then I took it out of the sauce and I put it in the oven for 6 minutes on broil. And then I would pull the pan out, all right, after I was done, and I would take each rib and I dunk it. I still had all the sauce in the sloker. I would dunk each rib in and let it sit up. Dunk it and let it sit up. And I did that 3 times. All right. And it's why, all right, it's still got that beautiful red to it, right?
It's saucy.
Yeah. A little bit saucy.
So sometimes decadent does not mean it takes hours and hours. Sometimes, yes. You do need it to sit in order for all that decadence to come up. But this fish, it's very quick to make. And I used a little bit of olive oil to brown it on both sides. salt, pepper, and then I also put a little bit of the lemon zest on the fish. Cooked that, then pulled it off. Then I added butter and garlic and more lemon zest and capers to the sauce. You can also add a white wine if you'd like. I almost throw in some gin in there, but I opted not to. And then once everything is melted, you pour it on top of the fish.
See, I thought of the decadence as like a lot of my meals as that slow cook to flavor. Why I did these in the slow cooker today, I would have done the same thing in the smoker if I did them that way. But that slow cook, right? It sat on the heat. I put them in this morning at 11 a.m. in the slow cooker and let them on low all day long. I pulled one out about 4 o'clock to check it on my time, and tasted it without broiling it or adding extra sauce. That was just pull it out of the pot and eat it. And I'm like, these are gonna be good. The macaroni and cheese, I chose to use the macaroni and shells.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like those.
I do like a lot of believe it or not, a lot of the Instamixes of macaroni and cheese done right. Right. You know what I mean? You do the right. I mean, I usually do it with a little bit less water. And then after, because it's just 5 minutes, like to boil the water with the macaroni in the microwave. I will pull it out after 2.5, 3 minutes, stir it, and then add more water. So now it's like, you know what I mean? I'm really drying them out, right? When I'm doing it the first time to soak it in. But then now I'm going to add the water to it. To me, it makes my shells or my macaroni more fluffy doing it that way. But it's along that lines of that slow cook to perfection idea.
Look at that color on that quinoa.
Oh yeah.
It was a tricolor quinoa, organic. So I made that yesterday. I'm like, oh, that's going to be done. And I'm glad, it cooks really quickly, but I didn't want to have to worry about it. So I just heated it up today. This is one gorgeous flaky fish.
So we started our month with talking about a day that repeats itself and ended our month talking about a day that only repeats every 4 years.
Right. Because how often does that happen? I mean, that's pretty cool.
It is the first leap year we get to celebrate as a podcast.
Oh my goodness. Look at these gorgeous flakes from this fish.
And you were eating fish all by itself with what you have on it, not anything tartar, any. No, it's just broiled away. And how did you cook it again?
Salt, pepper, and lemon zest, on a little bit of olive oil. Then the sauce had butter, garlic, capers, more lemon zest, and
you did it in the pan or you did it in the oven?
Pan. I did stovetop.
Yeah. Do you cover your pan when you do it, or do you leave it open?
I left it open. I covered it once I pulled it off ever so slightly because I just want to make sure it was, because I was still needing a minute, but I needed to pull it off because I was explaining. So normally I would not, because it's going to continue to cook, but because I pulled it off, it was slightly open. It was just a small cover, just enough to let it finish cooking through, because it was a thick piece. I mean, this puppy was like an inch thick.
So around our house, we're doing some weird decadence in meals because, Gwen's working late and working some long hours right now, getting some projects done. And my daughter's here with a baby, and my daughter's having to learn how to cook and take care of her baby at the same time. But a couple days a week, we have my nieces here. My nieces are underage, so I can't be. It's an alcohol night. It's food night, right? So for me to be able to have an alcoholic drink, it's when on Friday nights when my wife is home, or Saturday nights rather. She's not usually home on Friday nights till late. or the Monday nights with the podcast, which the kids are gone on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They don't come back until Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
But
And that's okay. So what are the types of things that your daughter's learning to cook, or that she wants to learn to cook?
so we did the other night. She did a pasta. We had pasta sauce in the pantry, some penne pasta, and then she found some chicken. So she just cooked some chicken in the sauce. But then I said, how about you do the option of chicken or beef? Split the sauce in half. Do half the sauce with beef, half the sauce with chicken. She goes, we have any beef? And it was in the freezer. And I said, let me show you how to take ground beef right out of the freezer and cook it. All right. First of all, we have it matted to like a fairly thin patty like this. We don't have it like the thick pounds. Like
Right.
And when it matted like that, you put it in a large pan and take all the wrapping off it, put it in there, and put the lid on top. Now, I don't add any seasoning at that point. I just leave it in there.
Because you're frying it.
Yeah, because it cooks everything around it because it's keeping all the heat inside. And then you open up the pot as it gets little by little, as it starts to heat, you open the pot, you scrape it off the edges of it to scrape it loose from the frozen center. And little by little, the heat will kick the frozen center out, and it turns all into ground beef. Now, I wouldn't do that if I was cooking hamburgers, right? But if I'm cooking a whole pound of ground beef to add to something, that's a way to cook it. And then, I mean, as you pull it off, that's when you add the seasoning. You don't add the seasoning to the whole thing because it doesn't work because it's still frozen. You piece it off, add the seasoning around, not to the frozen piece. She did that, and she did it very, very well. All right. And she was able to cook beef right out of the freezer and cook because we had the girls here that night. So we had to cook off for all the girls. The only thing we didn't have was some good Italian rolls, which would have made it really good.
Yeah, it would have been nice. There's so many little decadent little things that you can do to make cooking fun. And for me, I've always loved cooking. It's been something that I enjoy, even when it was just Mama and me. It's like I would cook, and it's like, it's like going, I can never cook for myself. And I said, you know what? If I don't cook for myself, then I'm never going to be cooking, and I enjoy cooking. So why not go all out, cook for myself, because I deserve it. Why would I not deserve to make myself a delicious meal?
Well, this shirt goes to the cleaners tomorrow. Right down.
This dress has a little like a cowlick. So that's going to catch everything. But and every so often, it's not bad that I'm just cooking for myself, because like this piece of fish, I guess I could make 2 meals out of it. But if it's only, if it's only a small piece, well, then it's enough for me. I mean, I had taken something up to Shawnee, goes, that's not enough. And I said, well, it was enough for me. I made 2 of these portions. One was for dinner, one was for lunch. I said, I think it's enough. I said, and we'll have the this and the that and the salad. I said, I added a couple of extra things, and here's an appetizer. It'll be enough. And it was. We're just so used to making big amounts that it took me a while to learn to make small portions, because I was used to cooking for 6 people. And then to just cook for 1 or 2, it was like, oh, how do I do that?
I can cook for 1 or 2 people, maybe 3. You had a party of 5. I'm not your cook. I can't portion that out. I made a half rack of ribs. I had 2, maybe 3 samples along the way as we each process. I'm full, and I have 2 left of the 4 I brought in for the podcast tonight. I still probably have another 5 out there. When I make ribs, I don't eat but 4 or 5 of them. I make them, and everybody else eats them. That's the one thing I cook for the crowd.
Well, I had made this rack of ribs, or actually, it was a rack of ribs, and cut it into 3s, and there was 3 of us, so made corn on the cob, had the ribs, had coleslaw, I forgot what else, and then the one guest messages his wife and said, yeah, these people actually portion out their food Yeah, this is all it was, a quarter rack of the rib. And I gave him the biggest portion because he's a big boy. So I gave him the biggest portion, but he was used to just eating the whole rack by himself. And he's all, but I was full. And I was going, well, I hope so, because you got ribs and corn and big potato and coleslaw and appetizer and all the things. So when you have everything, I'm like, I hope a quarter, rack of rib was enough for you, which was, I think, like 4 ribs, maybe 5. So that was just kind of funny that it's just what I'm used to. It's like just one rack. If it's on sale and I get 2, well, then one gets frozen. I only make 1.
So no, I've always used my extra rack to experiment if I'm smoking. So I'll do my first rack as an experiment to get the temperature up and play with it and everything. And that's the experiment rack. And I make the new batch of sauce and go on to it and everything. But what happens with the experiment rack while I'm doing the real rack that I'm going to eat? The experiment rack gets wrapped into a Tupperware container, wrapped with tin foil, a little bit of sauce in a container. I take it over to the boys and girls over there at my local Starbucks and say, here, I brought a gift for you tonight.
I come bearing gifts.
And I may not be the biggest tipper of all of the people who come to that Starbucks, but I'm probably the only one who brings them ribs.
There's that. I used to, when I was in high school, I worked at Rick's Burgers in Commerce, which is East LA. And there was this one of you got your regulars, and they would sit at the bar, the little old men that were 100 years old. And one of them would always come in shuffling, arthritis and everything. But, and I had one that would give me a $5 tip just by serving black coffee. Every time I get a $5 tip. But one of the gentlemen, he would bring a fish over, and it was always mackerel. So he'd go fishing, and he'd bring in. So he'd give us all waitresses fish. So we all had fish. So I'd come home and I'd say to my aunt, it's like, I come bearing gifts. Here's 4 mackerel. I mean, whole mackerel, all cleaned and all, but and so then she'd make it and feed everybody. And so he always knew that I appreciated the mackerel. And I'm like, do you want me to bring you back some? He's all, no, he fished because he enjoyed it. But he didn't need that many fish. So he'd just come and bring it to us. So I had 3 years of mackerel fish during the season, whenever that was. I can't remember, but I always had mackerel. And if he hadn't come in for a bit, it's like going, where have you been? And when are you going to go fishing?
What was the name of that burger place again?
Rick's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in City
I
of
was
Commerce.
thinking Rick's or Pigs. What was the name of the burger joint in the movie Better Off Dead with John Cusack? Was it Rick's or Bix? Or which one I'm talking about, where the guy, you wash your hands on your own time, and he actually does this whole thing with the burger that comes up and dance with the Eddie Van Halen guitar. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one of the radio stations I listen to, K-Rock. I've been listening to K-Rock since I was in junior high. It used to be Kevin and Bean. Now it's Klein and Alley. They started about 3 years ago, and I do like them. They are funny. But they call her Fecal Alley because they say, well, why would you not wash your hands when you're at home? And her thought is, why would I wash my hands? I'm at home. And I'm like, you always wash your hands. Why would you not wash your hands? Even if you're at home, it's still germs, So a whole thing with the whole washing your hands. So she's been called Fecal Alley. So there you go, K-Rock. Shout out to y'all.
And wait a minute. And remember, during the pandemic, we were supposed to wash our hands and sing a song. Do you remember what song was we were supposed to sing while we washed our hands?
Oh, yeah. Was it the birthday song, or was it the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star song?
I think it was the birthday song.
Yeah, I think so. That was enough time. You know what?
All right. I'm going to have to Google this. What was the song?
But what I do remember is when I was a kid, the first thing we did when we got home after being out at wherever it was, supermarket, downtown LA, whatever it was, we'd come home. I didn't wear rings at the time, but my aunt would take off her rings and would take off her watch. And the first thing we did when we got home after we dropped off all the bags is we'd wash our hands. That was just what we did. I was already used to washing my hands when I got home because I've touched everything I've touched, I don't need to bring those germs into the house. So the first thing I would do, drop everything off and wash my hands. So I still have that habit since I was a kid. The other habit that I had that I stopped looking so weird during COVID was wiping down the conveyor belt. Just people stopped looking at me all weird when I'd wipe down the conveyor belt because there's all kinds of yuckies on the conveyor belt. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I wiped it down and people would look weird at me that I'm wiping down the conveyor belt. And it's like, there's goo from, I don't know what it was. And if it's chicken, I don't need salmonella. It's like, let's wipe this down. Let's clean it. And during COVID, I felt more normal. I didn't feel like it was weird. And so now I don't think people look at me as weird. But usually, I work at the store because I go through the checkout counter and I probably should get paid for those times that.
Whole other subject.
Somebody said, I found the rudest, most inconsiderate person at the supermarket. Well, it's my fault. I'm the one who chose to go through self-checkout. So
I forgot. I have something else in my freezer that's a decadent food.
Do you have ice cream?
I'm gonna go get it. Okay, tell them about yours.
Okay, so what I have is chocolate, but you know what? It's. Let me see if I have some more information on leap year because I found that there was just a lot of fun things that came through. So the replacement of February 29th of the awkward practice of having 2 days with the same date appeared to have evolved by custom and practice, and they called it the bisextile, seeming to have been lost. Yeah. Look at here, mister. Don't be. So.
Wait a minute. I didn't know we were having a sexual.
Bisextile, not bisexual. A little bit of a different connotation there, mister. Although I know where your mind was going. You little sick puppy there.
I'm not sick-minded. A dirty mind is a terrible thing to waste.
There's that. It wasn't until the course of the 15th century that February 29th became more apparent in legal documents in the House of Commons in England, and they've continued to use the old system until the middle of the 16th century. And it was not until the passage of the New Style Act in 1750 that February 29th was formally recognized in British law. So, history of February 29th. So, there's a lot of craziness going out there. But even with the newer computations that are going on, there is still the presence problem in computing known as a leap year bug when a year is not correctly defined as a leap year or February 29th is not handling correctly or not handled correctly in logic that accepts or manipulates date. So that's a leap year bug. So talk to your IT professional. So they probably know about the leap year bug. And if they don't, find another one because they probably
replace that dude. Anyway. So I did do 2 decadent desserts. All right. Number 1, chocolate pudding. But we found this as a great dessert.
Oh, which one is it?
Bourbon vanilla bean truffle ice cream.
Oh, wow.
Gotta taste them both, ladies and gentlemen.
Have you tried it before, or is this new?
Nope. First of all, I mixed my pudding up fairly well. There's not that very many crumbs that didn't get mixed up.
Oh, this is so cool. I thought it was going to be one bunny. But apparently I didn't read. Reading is fundamental, people. It says bunnies.
Bunnies.
Which means that I have...
As in those girls that go down the ski slope.
Oh, yeah, wouldn't be
ski bunnies.
So I got bunny here. So the other thing I could do to make this more decadent, since, following suit with Mr. Gillette over here, I am going to be a little bit more decadent. And I still have my Umpqua ice cream from the last
week,
which is still looking pretty darn good. And so, well, maybe if I warm up my Did I mention that ice cream is best eaten with a fork?
You said that last week. I still don't get it.
Well, because when you are using a fork, you have ice cream all around. This is ridiculous. How is my ice cream is too hard? Oh, that's what I was going to do. So what I did is that I took one of my Tillamook yogurts and I put it in the freezer. It was strawberry vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
I put it in the freezer because when you freeze your Greek yogurt for about an hour, it's almost like frozen yogurt. And then, so you're getting something healthy, but it feels like you're having something decadent. So,
have you ever seen the TV show The Good Place?
The Good Boys? No.
I'm not going to give away the secret. One of the things they do on there is all the restaurants are yogurt places.
Oh, that's funny.
Frozen yogurt.
Oh, that's funny. All the restaurants on the show is frozen yogurt?
No, all the other restaurants on the show it's frozen yogurt, but you have to go watch the show to get the concept of why they did that.
Ah, okay. So one of the things that y'all didn't know is a little bit of warm water on your spoon will help your ice cream. Oh my goodness, it's hard as a rock. Okay, so I guess that's about as much ice cream as I'm going to be able to dish up because this is hard as a rock, and I don't want to leave it out. So I got my ice cream and my Bonnie.
The cooler thing would be if you melted the bunny over the ice cream.
Well, I think there's caramel inside. There is.
Aha!
So caramel, chocolate, and vanilla.
I always like when caramel oozes out of my bunnies. It's the greatest thing to find. I hate the hollow bunnies. You know which ones I mean. There's nothing inside. Like the biggest disappointment in the world.
Yeah. Oh. So they put the sea salt in the caramel.
Aha.
Okay. This is very decadent. I cannot complain.
All right. I've got like, was it like, with all the sugar in what I did, I'm thinking of what that actor, Chris Pratt, where he's on the one TV show going, sugar high, sugar high, sugar high. Yeah. So when Mondays come along, I don't eat a lot during the day. I snack because of what I'm prepping for the night. And the hard part is sometimes I get starving about 4:30, 5 o'clock my time. Our show starts at 7 my time. Right. And I will start munching. So then we go live on the show and I'm full. I don't want to eat. But if I eat too late, which I don't eat, I got to learn to eat an early lunch. Right. I eat a late lunch is what I do. But it totally messes you up for the show.
So what you do is eat lunch at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's where I usually eat lunch, but Monday's also one of the busier days because I've usually got 1:30, 2:30, 3:30 appointments.
So it gets all off.
Yeah.
Yesterday I ended up having dinner earlier than I normally do. Usually dinner on Sundays, I'll have dinner at like 7:30. Well, yesterday I had dinner at 5:30, I think it was 5 or 5:30. I was a little hungry. So I ate because I had a snack at, 1 o'clock. And so by 5:30, I was hungry. So had my dinner. Well, about 8:30, my tummy's growling. I'm hungry. And by 9:30, I was like going, okay, I'm like, I want to go to bed, but I'm hungry. So I ended up eating some cereal.
Ice cream.
I was not about to eat. So I had some cornflakes. And it was a small bowl, and then I was like going, okay, I'm fine. I don't need to eat. So, because after 8 o'clock, I don't want to be eating. If I'm going to stay up, that's fine because I'm going to be up until all hours. But if I'm going to go to bed before midnight or 11, then I can't be eating because then I won't be able to sleep and I'll be uncomfortable. So I ended up having cereal. And so today, usually Mondays is my eat early days, which is kind of nice. And then I get back to work and then I forget I need to, I don't get hungry again because the meals that I have are usually pretty full. So, and today's was so decadent and I'm still working on my cocktail. So I'm a happy girl.
Good deal.
Yeah.
I'm comfortably numb.
There's a song about that.
There is. Maybe that'll be one of our podcasts one day. Comfortably numb. Anyway.
Comfortably numb. Yeah, we'll play the song. You just play it in the background.
Oh, we can't do that. We would get hit with a licensing agreement. Oh my God. Let's not talk about podcasting anymore.
Do you remember who sings it? Oh, Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd.
That's what it is. Pink Floyd. Is there anybody
I didn't know who it was that sang it.
I did, but I didn't remember until I saw it because I'm like going, I know this song. I know this song. I knew it was a song. And I knew who the song, I just couldn't remember. I just needed to play it in my head a little bit longer. And I wasn't playing it in my head. If I had done that, I would have figured it out. But I didn't. So here we are.
You had to watch my, for those who, at my final speech as a speaker this morning, for Zig Ziglar's group online. And I did this whole thing about, remembering songs. And I talked about remembering songs and, the lyrics pop in your head because you know it. And it just matter what in life, And I said, because I always remembered, I lived my life like there's no tomorrow. All I got, I had to steal, which is the opening line to the first Van Halen song ever came out.
Oh.
I says, but I used it in reference to, the song In the Living Years. Because of the one line into it that was mentioned, you know what I mean? I wished I'd got to tell my dad everything I meant to say. And then I could have swore I heard his voice in my baby's cry, when he was born the following year. And the whole purpose behind using that for my talk this morning was about being significant in life and focusing so you can do the right things that matter. And I talked about how my daughter was supposed to have her baby on the 31st of December, which would have been the day my dad died. Instead, she had it on the 13th of January, the day my grandfather died. And that was the grandfather who I refused to talk to through my entire teenage and adult life.
Oh,
and I was only there to carry his casket. And I talked about getting your priorities right and focus in life. All right. And remembering the right things. All right. I talked about why I cut down from speaking. I've taken certain things out of my business to focus on the right things because I don't want my grandson to not talk to me all the way through his teenage years and just be there to carry my casket.
Right.
So that mattered to me. But anyway, and I did it as my last speech this morning. I said it was my last speech as a speaker. And I retired. I am no longer a speaker. You'll no longer see Tim Gillette speaker listed anywhere.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Nothing wrong with that. It's okay.
So anyway, but this has been a fun show. All right. We we can't end the show without first telling you about something that Gladys and I came up with about last September called the Insiders Club. You can find out more by going to likethewayyouDrink.com. And our Insiders Club is a place for you to be able to do private drinkings with us, do private tastings with us. All right. Connected with, and recently we've got a gentleman who wants to come on to our show, but we will do a private tasting on Zoom with you. All right. And this gentleman for our insiders. Other things that we have. All right. We're going to have special alcohols made, which Miss Gladys is going to show you right now. So it is a special thing made by Trail Distilling with Gladys's name, Lady Gin. All right. And it has our logo on the top. All right. For our podcast.
And if you're not in the Insiders Club, guess what? You don't have access to it.
Yeah. If you're not, unless you're an insider, we cannot sell it to you. All right. There's different things about it. Must be 21 to join. This is the one way that we can actually do a a check to make sure that you're 21 in order to ship alcohol to you. All right. And that's why we have to have you 21 or older. And then also why it's free. It's just so it's free so we can actually have a group of people who we know are 21 to be able to do things with. That is why. So go check it out, likethewayyouDrink.com. All right. It should be right up there in the top of the page. Next thing I want to tell you before we close out is this podcast is brought to you every week by our businesses. Yes, we have fun. Yes, this is what we like to do. This is the subject that we have passion about. We like to share. It's stuff we like to do. Cook food, drink things, right? And we wouldn't do that if we didn't have a business. So our businesses help put this event on every week. All right. That pays for all the equipment, pays for all the stuff that goes on here, as well as our businesses pay to actually manufacture the alcohol. So, all right, things like that is all done through our businesses. So, and Gladys and I, our businesses, we have 2 separate businesses and 2 separate states, and we do 2 separate things, and we just come together because we love alcohol. So let's do the commercials for our business because commercials are what pays the bills. Miss Gladys, you're up.
Thank you, Tim. I am Gladys Boutwell with Insurance by Design, helping employers become employers of choice through providing employee benefits. If you're an employer that says, oh, I don't know that I can afford it, you know what? You never know. I just spoke with an employer last week, and she's like, oh, this is within my reach. I can provide it to my primary employee. One employee, she has multiple, but one is the full-time that she absolutely wants to keep. She's the one that's working 40 hours plus a week, and she's going to be offering benefits to that one employee at a very comfortable and affordable price. So are you wondering, can I afford it? Guess what? Let's have the conversation. There are 101 different ways that you can provide benefits to your employees that will make them feel that you care about them. Get on my calendar. Let's have the conversation. Enroll now, Oregon.com. Yeah, it's Oregon, but guess what? Doesn't matter what state you're in. I know people in all states. I'll find you somebody if I can't take care of you. So go to Enroll now, Oregon.com, and we'll start the conversation. And this is my co-host, Tim. Take it away.
Hey, guys, I'm Tim Gillette, and I created a company last year called Simple Easy Websites. We are a website design company that we design websites and we host them to take care of your website needs for the small business person, all right, the entrepreneur, the solopreneur, things like that, all right. You know what you do best. Let's face it. You've got that down. The last thing you need to do with your spare time is work on a website. So we provided a very affordable solution to be able to provide a website for you. Make sure it is always up and always going with our wonderful maintenance and hosting packages that we take care of your website and we look after it for you 24/7. So to find out more, go to simpleeasywebsites.com, book a free consultation. I'll be glad to go over your website with you and let you know what you should do to improve that website and make it pop more. Tim Gillette, Simple Easy Websites.
Thank you all for being here. I found my taco proof lipstick. It's
Decadence night. Well, I think we label this as the Decadence date. So you got to have lipstick on. Come on, girl.
And my fun, this is from the Jefas. I always forget the name of it. It is Sin Límites, no limits. So no limits, red lipstick. This is limited edition. I don't think you can get it anymore. I had it here. I had misplaced it. I found it. I was pretty excited. And I said, I'm wearing it on the podcast. So the Jefas, thank you so much for the lipstick. Appreciate you. And Trail Distilling, I know I didn't put you in today's cocktail, but I still appreciate you for helping us make this Lady Gin possible.
Cool.
Any shout outs from you today?
No shout outs for me. Just basically everything was done in-house tonight. And I improvised where I didn't have it.
And I got one more shout out.
Shout out to Froggy.
I got to give out the Froggy or to Froggy's creator, Sean. Thank you so much for making my little Froggy.
Froggy.
He leaps 4 years ahead. We'll see you in 4 years, Froggy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week. Have a great week. Cheers.